we need to talk about what is happening with JD Vance. Erica Kirk came out and she endorsed JD Vance for 2028. So it's out there. It's going to happen. And you need to remember that JD Vance is a creation. He is a creation of Peter Thiel, billionaire Peter Thiel. Without Peter Thiel, you don't have the JD Vance that you have today. That's important for everyone to understand. JD Vance appeared at America Fest, and I want you to listen to the message that he is preaching, given everything that's going on. Listen closely.
Unlike the left, we stand against treating anybody, and I love what Nicki said about this. We don't treat anybody different because of their race or their sex. So we have relegated DEI to the dustbin of history, which is exactly where it belongs. In the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore. And if you're an Asian, you don't have to talk around your skin color when you're applying for college, because we judge people based on who they are, not on ethnicity and things they can't control.
Here's the problem. Does everybody notice what JD Vance is doing? Do they notice what he's focusing on? As much as you hear people, especially during America Fest, complain about the identity politics, we'll get to Vivek in just a second. Why is he focusing on that? Given this is a time when the economy is taking a downturn, people are taking a hit, people are in despair. We have an economy that is not good right now. Instead of focusing on an economic message, look at what he's choosing to focus on. This is important when we get to 2028.
We don't persecute you for being male, for being straight, for being gay, for being anything. The only thing that we demand is that you be a great American patriot. And if you're that, you're very much on our team.
And here's the problem. That is not the case. Right now, there are people attacking JD Vance and Vivek Ramaswamy. They're attacking JD Vance because of his wife, and they're saying that he's not American and she's not American. They're attacking Vivek Ramaswamy because of his nationality, calling him all different types of names. And Vivek is still so desperately wants to fit in so damn bad. He's willing to go along with it anyway. And then they're bringing out tokens like Nicki Minaj. And I want to be very clear about what Nicki Minaj is doing here for those who are not familiar with her career. Nicki Minaj's career is on a downward turn. She has probably seen the best of her days as a female rapper as days that are behind her. And this happens in the music business. You have your bump, you hit your peak, new artists emerge, people turn their face towards the new artists, and you slowly start to fade away. Nicki Minaj does not have the same type of record sales, or I guess we should say streaming, the song streamings now. She doesn't have the same type of energy. She's not producing the same type of sales that she did when she was at the height of her popularity. So this happens with musicians, unless you create timeless music, unless you were like a Michael Jackson, right? Or unless you were like a Prince or something, you know? And we don't produce many of those artists today. So the reality is her career is on a downward turn. Nicki Minaj is looking for a way to be relevant once again. And that is why she came out to support Trump and support MAGA. I don't think that Nicki Minaj really believes or cares about anything but her own pocket. I think that she is doing this so that she can increase her popularity, and she's moved on to the next thing that's going to make her money. Now, we saw this happen with Amber Rose. When Donald Trump was running for 2024, she was the one that they touted out, you know, Amber Rose, who they were calling all types of names. calling her a stripper, a hoe, and all that type of stuff. They put a dress on her, said, come on out here. You're one of us now. Now you see this happening also with Nicki Minaj. Now, out of everything that you guys have seen from Nicki Minaj over the years, do you believe that Nicki Minaj is actually conservative? I don't understand why people really falling for this bullshit. But she's there. And so they're going to rely on people like her, and we'll get to Vivek in just a second, to help them in 2028. Watch this.
I have the utmost respect and admiration for our president. He has, I don't know if he even knows this, but he's given so many people hope that there's a chance to beat the bad guys and to win and to do it with your head held high and your integrity intact.
Donald Trump is one of the bad guys. So Nicki Minaj wants you to believe that he's not. Okay. Part of me wonder if there's some type of pardon that she's trying to get out of this as well. Nicki Minaj, from what I understand, the gentleman that she is married to was accused and served time for sexually assaulting an underage girl. So this is why I say, like, it's laughable to me. And I'm pretty sure, I'm willing to bet you, most of the people in that AmFest crowd out in that audience don't know that. Let her finish here.
He's from Queens, New York, like me. So, but what it's shown me personally is sometimes, you know, even in the worst feeling times in your life, you think that you're never going to come back from it. But you do. And our president shows that. He's been through every single thing a person could be through publicly.
No, he has not been through everything a person can go through. Donald Trump, she doesn't even know what she's talking about. Donald Trump grew up wealthy. He has not been through everything. But again, this is, everybody pay attention. I'm warning you right now. Nicki Minaj, Vivek Ramaswamy, they are going to be used going into JD Vance 2028. Look, see, we are a party that's embracing everybody. And they always give a microphone to people that don't know shit about politics. People like Nicki Minaj. She don't know what she's talking about. She just wants attention and she wants a check.
Having to constantly be lied on. It's not really that funny. Until you are in that person's shoes that's being lied on, you'll never understand what it feels like. That person is a human being. They have a family who has to read those lies. And that's not, and it's just not fair. But this administration is full of people with heart and soul. And they make me proud of them. Our vice president, he makes me, well, I love both of them, but they're both powerful men, smart, strong, all of that, but both of them have a very uncanny ability to be someone that you relate to. I can relate to them. When I hear them speak, I know that they're one of us. Like, I know that they're not. Don't you guys agree? They haven't lost touch of the world. You know, they're still connected to the world and what's happening in the world, with the younger people and older people, with the richer people and not so rich people. They have the ability to still connect and be real and make us feel proud to be American.
Yeah. So you see what's coming, right? So they got her, they're going to grab her on board, and then they're going to grab this other flunky, Vivek Ramaswami, who's running for governor, who so desperately wants to be a part of the damn club, so desperately wants to fit in. It's really disturbing to me when I watch Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm like, this is someone who is so desperate to be a part of the club. He's willing to just take the fact that people in his own damn party don't want him there. And he can't like point fingers and say, well, I don't really, because he decided to run on this whole don't focus on identity. Let's focus on meritocracy. He decided to run that type of campaign when he ran for president. And so now he looked like a fool if he were to say, okay, I can't be a part of this party because of the way that they're treating me. Listen to what Vivek said.
If you believe that boys should compete with girls in girls' sports, I'm sorry, you're not on the team. You have no place in this movement. If you believe, thank you. It's pretty obvious, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you believe in racial quotas in government hiring, you have no place in the conservative movement. Sorry, you're not on the team. You're free to believe it. It's a free country, but you have no place in the conservative movement. If you believe in normalizing hatred towards any ethnic group, toward whites, towards blacks, towards Hispanics, towards Jews, towards Indians, you have no place in the future of the conservative movement.
So here's the problem, Vivek. Problem is the party that you're a part of, many of them don't want you there. They don't want you there. And he's so desperately trying to fit in. He's running for governor of Ohio after a failed presidential bid. So he's just really trying to, make his name in some way, shape, or form. He definitely wants to be a politician. He's also very rich. Vivek Ramaswamy is very rich. He could let all this go tomorrow and just go back to doing what he was doing, exploiting motherfuckers. So the reality is, you just got there yesterday. Vivek Ramaswamy is pretending as though he's been Team Trump for years. He hasn't. Vivek Ramaswamy just got there yesterday. Does everybody remember he decided to run for president in 2024 in the GOP primary? During multiple interviews, it was revealed that he was not a Trump supporter prior to that. He jumped on this bandwagon. It's so obvious. And he comes up onto the stage and he starts to tell them what their movement is going to be when he just got there. So they plan on using him.
Period. And I will not apologize for that. I will not hedge when I say it. If you believe, and you will forgive me for giving you an exact quote from our online commentator, Nick Fuentes, if you believe that Hitler was pretty fucking cool, you have no place in the future of the conservative movement. You can debate foreign aid to Israel all you want. That's fine. That's fair. But you have no place with that level of hatred. You can debate the right resolution of the Russia-Ukraine war. But if you believe Joseph Stalin is someone to look up to, you have no place in the future of the conservative movement. If you call Usha Vance, the second lady of the United States of America, a cheat, you have no place in the future of the conservative movement. And if you can't say those things without stuttering, then you have no place as a leader at any level in the conservative movement either. Certainly not in my state of Ohio.
People are already coming after him on X that are a part of the conservative movement, telling him that he needs to shut the hell up. So he's preparing himself for a greater political future, not just the gubernatorial race. And I'm going to tell you what I think this is really all about, right? It was now reported. Let me go ahead and bring this up here. Trump's secret secession. The plan was to put Charlie Kirk in the Oval Office and groom a shock new vice president. Let's go ahead and get into this here. Republican power brokers had quietly mapped out a MAGA secession plan that would eventually put Charlie Kirk in the Oval Office. A confidant of Donald Trump and Kirk has revealed to the Daily Mail. Until the plan was thwarted by Kirk's September assassination, J.D. Vance was slated to run in 2028 with Charlie Kirk as his vice president. And according to Turning Point USA board member Mike Miller, party leaders envision Kirk taking over as president 8 years later and grooming Donald Trump Jr. to become his VP. So people need to understand that one of the reasons why JD Vance is in that position as vice president is because of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk greatly helped him get that spot, but he wasn't alone. Like I said, he was a creation of Peter Thiel. So this was coming down the pipeline at some point or another. And that 2028 ticket, which is now being revealed, is that Charlie Kirk was going to be JD Vance's vice president. That was going to be his running mate. And that would set up Charlie Kirk for a presidential run in the future. The Donald Trump Jr. thing is funny as hell because that mofo was not bright. Not bright at all. Oh boy. However, things changed. Now that Charlie Kirk has been killed, now JD Vance has to look for someone else for that VP spot. And I would not be surprised if Vivek Ramaswami, even though he's running for governor of Ohio, he's keeping his options open. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't try to step in as JD Vance's VP, or if he doesn't pursue that in some way, shape, or form. You don't know if he's going to win the governor race. There's no guarantee. He might be plotting his next move. Let's go on here. The whole gig was, it was going to be JD Vance and Charlie for 8 years after Trump. And the next 8 years after that, it was going to be Charlie and probably Don Jr. But I'm not going to go into a private conversation about that. JD Vance is a very capable and competent man. Charlie introduced him to Trump. See, everybody see this? Charlie Kirk introduced JD Vance to Donald Trump. So without Charlie Kirk, you probably don't see a Vice President JD Vance. Now, hold on to it because we're going to put the pieces together. The idea of Kirk, who died at age 31 on a presidential ticket, was at the front of the Trump's family minds soon after they were introduced to him. In an interview on Megyn Kelly's podcast the day after Kirk's assassination, Don Jr. described his early impressions of Kirk after meeting in 2016, saying, "This kid's brilliant. This kid could be president one day." Vance also spoke about his closeness to Kirk in a social media post following his death. So the plan was to have Charlie Kirk be JD Vance's VP. But we know that in the months leading up to his assassination, Charlie Kirk started to change his opinion on how he felt about the pro-Israel donors, how he felt about Israel and this war with Iran, how he was vehemently against the U.S. going to war with Iran. I'll show you a clip of that in just a second. So that would be a problem, right? For Israel, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be a problem for the powers that be to have someone as a vice presidential candidate or on that ticket with JD Vance who didn't want to pursue these wars? Wouldn't that be a problem? And who would it be a problem for? Because you see, I'm just going to show you how this is all being set in motion. Erica Kirk came out onto AmFest and she went ahead and she already gave the endorsement.
I'm also really excited about everything that we're doing at Turning Point Action. We are locked in and mission focused for both 2026 and 2028. We're investing in states and not just in races. So what I mean by that is we are building the red wall, Arizona, Nevada, New Hampshire. That's going to be very important to us. We're going to ensure that President Trump has Congress for all 4 years. We are going to get my husband's friend, JD Vance, elected for 48 in the most resounding way possible.
And there it is. So it's already been put out into the ether that is going to be the person that they want to go with. Now, I know Donald Trump has been talking about a third term. Donald Trump can't do a third term. He need to go sit the hell down somewhere. So, but the reality is they're already lining up to get behind JD Vance. Marco Rubio also issued a statement that he would wholeheartedly support and back JD Vance as the presidential nominee for 2028. They're already making the waves. And for people who say, well, why would they have wanted Charlie Kirk? He's so young. He hasn't done a lot. Look, I wasn't a fan of Charlie Kirk. I didn't like a lot of the things that Charlie Kirk said, but to say that he didn't do a lot, that is where I think people would be mistaken. Charlie Kirk started Turning Point USA at 18 years old. At 18 years old. Listen to some of the things that he already did. This is coming from Michael Knowles.
School. He was going to go to college, realized that was not going to be a useful way to spend his time and money. Founds Turning Point USA at 18, raises a ton of money. People believe in him. He inspires confidence from major donors and inspires confidence from the young voters that he was reaching. And he turned this into the biggest organization on the right. I don't even mean the biggest young voters organization. I mean the organization. Charlie was the nexus for all of us on the right. He became extraordinarily important to the Trump campaign. It is no exaggeration to say that President Trump in 2024 might very well not have been elected without Charlie Kirk. He just kept getting more and more responsibility. He founded Turning Point Action, which then went on to help to lead the Get Out the Vote efforts, and therefore to win the popular vote for a Republican for the first time in 20 years. He started the faith division. So even of TPUSA, you had the nonprofit, you had the political action, you had the faith division, you had women's leadership, you had all of these different divisions. In the meantime, while he's doing all of this stuff, 18 founds the organization, 22 he's addressing the RNC, this rocket ship of influence in American politics, reshapes the government, as the vice president pointed out last night, helped staff the government. And as he's doing all of this, he published 5 books. He married his beautiful wife. He had 2 wonderful children.
Now, he had the monetary means to do some of these things too. It's not like he came from like a poor family. So let's keep that in mind. But the point is, he did a lot. And this is what I've been saying for the longest time. Rich said Dems doing what they always do, nothing. The Democratic Party never gave an answer to Charlie Kirk. The Democratic Party never had someone go out there and really, capture like the youth vote, etc. All throughout the year, speaking at all these colleges, they never had that. Some people say AOC. AOC is a politician. I'm talking about someone, and AOC ain't even there half the time anyway. I'm talking about someone who would have been like a competitor to Charlie Kirk, but doing that for the Democratic Party. They never had that person to get out there and do that. And this is what I've been warning people about. Turning Point USA has continued to build and build and build and grow and grow and grow. After Charlie Kirk passed away, after Charlie Kirk was killed, they have received more donations. They're getting more money. Remember, we were talking about how much money they've been able to make since Charlie Kirk died. So they're not losing, but they're getting more and more money. So there's that to keep in mind as well. So they are growing. They already laid out their plan about the red wall that they want to build. They already had a whole succession plan here with Charlie Kirk as the vice president, making his way as the presidential, nominee in the future. This was all already laid out. And the Democratic Party, they don't want to get their head out their ass, and they're not equipped to fight this. And this is something I think people don't want to hear. Come 2028, not that far away, but come 2028, if the Democratic Party does not offer a counter to Turning Point USA, to what Charlie Kirk and them have been able to do, they could lose again. Now, I think some people will go out and they'll vote for the Democrats just because they're tired of Trump's ass. I think that's going to be a reality. But what the Democratic Party didn't do is they did not establish a longevity plan for the younger politicians to move forward. Turning Point USA has already established a plan for the younger people to move forward. The JD Vance, the Charlie Kirk, etc. Best Democratic Party could do was, well, Hillary comes after Obama. And then the Kamala, they didn't even want Kamala. Some people still don't know this. They didn't even want Kamala Harris. Joe Biden wanted, what's that girl's name who threw forks at people? Oh, Amy Klobuchar. He wanted Amy Klobuchar as his VP. Democrat leadership said, no, you need to pick like a black woman. So go with Kamala. And then the idea was that Kamala Harris would become president by Joe Biden resigning and passing the baton to her. The idea was not that she was going to have to actually run a campaign again, like she did in 2020. But all that was all crazy. So we all know that story. So they're not prepared to deal with this. And I think that they're underestimating them. Erica gave it away here when she said that he was going to be president. Listen to this.
My husband never told anyone what to say. He never did. He never told anyone what to say. He would just encourage them to think. He would encourage them to think outside of the traditional political labels. He would want them to think in a way that was anchored in wisdom and truth. But he would never tell anyone what to say. Charlie wasn't content to simply admire freedom. He wanted to multiply it. He wanted to multiply freedom. He wanted young people to taste it and to understand it and defend it. He wanted them to see that liberty isn't self-indulgence, it's self-governance under God. He wanted them to see that. And every day I'd see him getting ready for work. He'd put on his cross necklace, he'd put his ring on his finger. And the boldness in his demeanor was always fearlessness. He wasn't afraid. He was never afraid. In his daily actions, whether in office or on campus or at a church, it was always without fear. That was his creed. That is how he lived out every single day. He didn't fear being slandered. He did not. He didn't fear losing friends, I can tell you that. He didn't. He didn't care. He stood for truth and stood for freedom, and he did not, everything else was just noise to him. And it's because his confidence in Christ was absolute. That's why. There was no limit to what he would have sacrificed to defend freedom for all. And if the moment had come, he probably would have run for president, but not out of ambition. He would only have done it if that was something that he believed that his country needed from a servant's heart standpoint.
But he was going to do it. See what I'm saying? There was no probably. He was going to do it. He was already being lined up to do that. So here's the thing, folks. Everyone needs to pay attention to what's going on. So Charlie Kirk was killed. So now there goes that VP opportunity for him. And I still point to this because I still feel like this is part of the problem. Because why would Israel want someone to be vice president of the United States who's in line to become president of the United States when they said this?
Across Chicago, where I grew up, or in Phoenix, are amazing. In Scottsdale, they literally have a restaurant called The Persian Room. I get it. But this is a completely different thing. If the people of Persia want to take back their government organically, authentically, from the ground up, we will be cheering them on. Of course we will. But Western forced central planning regime change is if we are just going to take out the Ayatollah. Oh, really? What comes next? What comes after regime change? Might be, oh, well, we need a small number of U.S. troops to support the new regime. And then, well, the new regime needs our financial support. Then, okay, then we need a few more U.S. troops. We have seen this play before. Or get regime change, you have no idea how this is going to work out. You have no idea. The best case scenario is like probably 5,000 U.S. troops and $100 billion. The probably most probable scenario is a bloody civil war that results in a couple 100,000 people dead, all these different ethnic groups fighting. Iran is a country of 92 million people. Let me repeat. Iran is a country of 92 2 million people. It's 2.5 times the size of Texas. We've been reporting this on our program the last couple of days. It is a beast of a country. Not to mention, you could trigger another refugee crisis coming to the West. And so Lindsey Graham, listen very carefully. We went from take out the nuclear program to regime change in just a couple of days. This is why our program is succeeding right now. Because we are taking a non-ideological, patriotic, America First approach right now, where other people are all over the place. No intervention under any circumstances. Okay, I can hear that. I can sympathize with that. But 86% of Americans don't want Iran to have a nuclear bomb. Or you have the people that redesign the entire Middle East in their image. Meanwhile, our country is collapsing. Let's play first 342.
Does everybody see the problem? He was one of the people that spoke to Donald Trump against the war in Iran. He went to Donald Trump and said, no, this is a bad idea. We can't have a war with Iran. He did that. Now, this is not to brag and toot about Charlie Kirk, but I'm trying to get you to connect the dots. The point is, this is someone who was next in line to at least be a VP candidate, and then eventually president. But in the months leading up to his assassination, he started to change his opinion on certain things. And he started to push back here against regime change, against these wars. We saw those text messages where he said he was getting tired of the pro-Israel donors. All of these things were a problem. This is not someone that Israel would want to be in the White House. This is not someone that Israel would want to even be vice president with these statements. These are public statements. So he came out against the regime change. That's problem. Coming out against the pro-Israel donors. That's a problem. And especially among someone who had so much influence. He had influence about a lot of young people. So he's gone. They don't have to deal with that problem anymore. And then that leaves the door open to who JD Vance's running mate is going to be. And I feel like Vivek Ramaswamy is trying to position himself in such a way so that if he doesn't win this gubernatorial race, maybe he can jump on to JD Vance's coattails and become his running mate. I don't put anything past Vivek Ramaswamy. I think he's a complete opportunist. I think he so desperately wants to be a part of the club. He's willing to do anything and whatever it takes to get there to be a part of it. I really do believe that. Even though people in that party are humiliating him on a daily basis on social media, telling him they do not want him there. I think that JD Vance, with the issue with his wife, the way that people are still coming after him and coming after his wife because they said, no, she's not American, you're not American, all this types of stuff. You know, and then I look at Erica. Who's now a widow. And then I remember the way that people were applauding when JD Vance and Erica hugged each other on that stage, that hug that we talked about. And I saw the pictures going around on social media, people saying that should be the couple. That should be the next. They should be the ones in the White House. And then you got Nicki Minaj's crazy ass. Nicki Minaj is going to be used as a pawn, just like, you know, Kanye was, just like Amber Rose was. They're just going to use her as a pawn to try to get, you know, more Black people to come out and support or whatever. Like, I mean, and then when this is all over, they'll be done with her too. They know she's an opportunist. She knows she's an opportunist. They both know what they're doing here. But the problem with all of this is that the Democratic Party has no answer to this. None. They have a bench that's empty. Their approval rating, you look at the congressional approval rating, their approval rating is terrible in Congress right now. In the Democratic Party, it's still bad, even though Trump is this bad. The Democratic Party in Congress has a terrible approval rating right now. And then all these people that they're pointing to, and they say Gavin Newsom and all this. Gavin Newsom is incredibly corporate, and he's been leaning more to the right. Listen to him very carefully. Kamala Harris says she's getting ready to put herself back out there again. I think we all know what that means. I mean, it just, come on. They do not have an answer to this. And this is where I point to the other options. This is where, going into 2028, this is where we need to pay more attention to people running as independents and people running as third party. Because I think it's getting to a point, and we'll have to run through the numbers. I think it's getting to the point where people are tired of all of this. You see the disappointment that people have on the Republican side with the Epstein files, Israel, etc. People also have that disappointment with Israel on the Democrat side. And speaking of the Epstein files, why aren't any of the other Democrats out there supporting Ro Khanna and what he's doing? Why aren't any of the other Republicans out there supporting Thomas Massie and what he's doing? Because Marjorie Taylor Greene is now resigning. So I don't know. I think 2028, we really need to see a candidate that is not a part of these parties, but somebody that is really going to shake things up and isn't afraid to do so. It has to be someone who does not do business as usual. No billionaires. No more Kennedys. But somebody who's willing to take off the damn gloves. And somebody that's willing to bring people together on an economic agenda that is going to benefit the working class. All this talk about the identity that JD Vance is talking about, and Vivek has to bring that up, and both parties bring these things up. It just goes to show you, though, that they're not focusing on the here and now, when right now people have economic disparity, the economy's a mess, and they're talking about all this other stuff. So it's got to be somebody that comes forward with that message. And I don't know who that person is going to be. But right now, I don't think it exists currently in either one of those parties. But that was supposed to be the plan. And I just find it interesting that he just happened to be killed right after he started changing his opinion on some of these foreign policy issues, because his opinion seemed to stay the same on the domestic issues. It makes you think. Stay tuned, guys. 2028, I'm telling you, it's about to be wild. And yes, the VU. Sabby understands the DNC has no answer to TPUSA. Thank you. You just basically summed it up for me. They don't. And that's going to be a problem. So, when the levee breaks. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.